Second Timothy chapter 2. We're in verse 24, imagine. And we started a little bit last time, and I want to try to finish it up a little bit. The pretext for this, or context, is that Paul says to Timothy, just don't have anything to do. This is verse 23. Don't have anything to do with foolish and stupid arguments. That's something I would have written. Because you know they produce quarrels. And in verse 24, and the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome. Kind of takes the fun out of it. But I talked about the difference between reasonable and legitimate debate, which is a kind of structured discussion, or can be, and at other times it can be a refereed discussion. I don't think, well, anyway, the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome. Okay, if I'm not going to be quarrelsome, then what should I be? Well, but must be kind to everyone, able to teach, not resentful. Being kind is not always easy. It is, though, a kind of a, what would I call it? It's a cheer that's led wide, far and wide in our culture today. Just be kind. Don't be mean. I mean, I see bumper stickers. It's something like, no mean people. And I'm going, well, that'd be sweet. It's real and unrealistic, but it'd be sweet. On the other hand, in the context of the family of God, His church, kindness should prevail. I'd love to say, and that's the way it is. You and I both know. Kindness exists in every congregation, every branch of this family. It does. And I'm grateful that I have, in my church experience, especially in my professional experience, most of the 45 years of that, I was in a church that was mainly kind. That there are some of us in this church thing that we can get cranky. We can get, I have bad days. I have a bad mood sometimes. Although you don't need to know how my life's going every day, but today has been a really rotten day. Our offices got broken into at 4 this morning. Some important stuff was taken. Thankfully, I don't keep anything of any value in my office except for a collection of baseball cards that I think have pretty high value, although I've never had them appraised. And it looked like the thieves were on their way out with it when they kicked in the door of the office next to us, which had an alarm that went off. Must have spooked them. They left my stuff and took off. Well, that's not a fun way to start your day. And then, and this is more of a signal of my attitude, my frame of mind, than anything. But golly, every stupid person in the county was on the streets when I was trying to get from my office to my next place. They're just stupid drivers. No, they're not. They just weren't going the way at the speed and using their turn signals as I do, and So it's really... And then I got home. We're going to take an open door library trip, God willing, in August to our libraries in Berlin and Prague. And I have been working on, I bought our plane tickets, but we got to get to Chicago and back here to Oklahoma City from Chicago at both ends of the trip. We've got to get hotels and transportation. And I mean, there's just stuff, right? I used a booking site for just one lousy night at a hotel in Berlin. And I messed up. I put in the wrong days. And then it's worse. You know how I was talking about all the stupid drivers? You know what? You better put me in that file folder because I'm just sometimes just plain stupid. Not only did I select the wrong days, right? A week and a half later than we needed. Then the second mistake was I thought, well, I'll save $15 and do the non-refundable because I know I'm always right. Whew. Boy, is that stupid. And now, a dear woman with Priceline in Bengal, India is trying to get a hold of the hotel and see if they will waive the cancellation fee and we can reschedule. And if not, then we got to eat that one night. It's just like, what? Kind of hard. If I let my external circumstances and my most recent experiences stay behind the steering wheel of my, life, thoughts, I'm in trouble. It is really hard to be kind when things are not going well. It's also hard to be kind when the people who God has put into your life, who you encounter, are not kind. It's not hard to be kind to kind people. But it's really not easy to be kind to people who are not kind. Well, Paul doesn't make a distinction. As a matter of fact, he excludes distinctions by saying that the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but must be kind to everyone. Oh, gosh. Now, I'm going to go in two directions here, different than where I've already been. Be kind to the people God puts in your life because you are the Lord's servant. And one of the groups of people that God puts into your life that often servants of the Lord, myself included, don't appropriately notice or apply this principle to are their families. On Mother's Day, I was reflecting back. All three of our daughters called their mom and told her how precious she is, how much they love her, and how grateful they are that she was their mom. I just second that motion. I made basically some good decisions in my adult life. The best decision I ever made in my adult life was to say yes when Debbie proposed to me. And one of the benefits of that is I got to be on the front row watching her be a world-class mom. It's incredible. When I reflect, though, on my daughter's, preschool and grade school time, I have so many regrets because I did not do what this verse admonishes. As the Lord's servant, I tried really hard not to be quarrelsome most of the time. But I was not very kind to my family because they were the last people on my list. of priorities. I only half jokingly say I was busy raising everybody else's kids in the church. That's no good excuse. It might make a funny line, but it's a tragedy when it happens. Man, if you're not being kind with that group of people, I would characterize your kindness to other people as kind of disingenuous. God gave me this family. I didn't deserve it. I didn't do anything to qualify myself for it. Holy smokes. And I am more than ever becoming more and more sensitive to the fact that nobody deserves kindness as much as my wife does from me. Nobody deserves to be treated with respect, with care and concern like she does from me. I don't care what your role is, whether you're in ministry as your career or whether you're a volunteer in a church or whether at this point you're pretty much just cheering people on from the sidelines. We can't wiggle out of this admonition to be kind to our families, our spouses. All right. And then this other group, and it would be easy to misunderstand me here, but I'm going to say, be kind to you. One of my dear friends I look forward to meeting again in heaven, back when we were both young ministry guys full of spit and vinegar, he lived in Guthrie and was the preacher, the only staff guy at a little church there, and I was in Tulsa at Highland Park, and this was before email. I didn't even have a computer. I had a hand-me-down IBM Selectric typewriter. And we wrote letters back and forth. It was 100 miles. That's not forever to go from one to the other. But he was blinded by diabetic neuropathy. So unless somebody, drove him over to Tulsa, that wasn't going to happen. And me, I did a lot of times. I drove over to Guthrie. But when we would generally write letters back to each other, kind of a lost art these days. But anyway, one particular letter I vividly remember and I intend to never forget. He wrote at the bottom of it, "Be kind to my friend Steve today." I don't know how many dozens, maybe hundreds of times I have used that phrase for clients and people I've counseled, because many of us find it so hard to be kind to ourselves. We treat ourselves with disregard and disrespect, and honest truth is there's a lot of us, we don't even like ourselves, and that's partly why we don't treat ourselves kindly. I don't know. Maybe you could use that today. For me, on this crummy day of mistakes and hiccups and all of that, I've got to figure out how do I slow down and be kind to Steve today. And when I get done here, I'm going to do that. Maybe you should do that too. I'll see you next time on Soul Care with Stevie Boy.